the Marines are switching up the traditional makeup of the United States Marine Corps Rifle Squad. General Neller, the Commandant of the United States Marine Corps, has announced this week that the Marines are going to be switching up from the 13-man squad to a 12-man squad. Articles published from the Marine Times have stated that the reason for this has come from experience and lessons learned over the past 17 years of warfare, as well as some new technologies that have come out that have seriously augmented the ability of the Marines under this new setup. All right, now I'm seriously excited about some of these new changes. So let's talk about what the Marine Corps Rifle Squad used to look like and how it's going to be different under this new system. Okay, so this is the Marine 13-man Rifle Squad as it exists today. It's led by a Marine squad leader, which is typically a sergeant, one of the senior Marines of a platoon. The squad leader will carry out the platoon commander's orders and directives, acting as a semi-autonomous unit, and basically autonomous enough that they can handle things in a pretty large area. And typically, you won't see major operations happening where whole platoons are interacting with themselves, are interacting to take care of one mission. You'll have a lot of times where the individual squad is fighting the battle by themselves, where another squad might be many blocks away, or in a whole different area of the city. So the squad leader's job is extraordinarily important. Keep that in mind because that role is going to be changing a little bit here on the next slides. Now, underneath the squad leader, the squad, first of all, isn't even the base unit. Below that is the fire team, and what you can see here are 3 separate fire teams beneath the squad leader. The fire team is the base unit. This is sort of the theory of the Marines to keep everything uniform enough so that a person can change platoons, can change companies, can change to a whole different part of the Marine Corps, and it has a general understanding of how to fight, no matter if you're in a different team with different people or not. But adaptable enough at the squad level that you can have a lot of different capabilities and achieve a great deal of different types of missions. Now, the way they do this is by looking at the diversity within each one of the fire teams. All right, so first, the basic fire team consists of a fire team leader. That's typically a corporal. That he's just the commander of this small element. Okay, this small element is the fire team leader. Been in a while, not quite to the sergeant squad leader level, but capable of commanding and overseeing and directing his team of 4 people. Okay, after that is the automatic rifleman. Now, the automatic rifleman, they carry machine guns. Okay, that's what they did. This was actually the crux of the theory, was that you would have somebody within a team of 4 who could lay down suppression fire, and that would enable whoever the target of the team was to be held in place long enough for the others to go around. Now, there's far more to it than that, but the machine gunner in the old way of doing things had a great deal of importance in that he directed how the rest of the unit would move around, because he really guided the enemy as much as the rest of the team would move around them. So there's going to be a lot of changes to this. This is what I'm going to be interested in seeing about how the actual tactics of these new fire teams will play out, because, and you'll see what the big change with this one is, that they really changed the way that the Marines treat this automatic rifleman. Now, like I said, the automatic rifleman was such an important job and carried such a specialized weapon for the job that there was actually a person within each fire team designated to assist the automatic rifleman, the assistant automatic rifleman. So this person's whole job was to act as another infantryman, but to ensure that this gun stays up. If something were to happen to that automatic rifleman, they would take over that job. If they would carry additional ammunition. Their job, this automatic rifleman's job, was so important that there's another person assigned just to make sure he stays okay. And this last position is that of rifleman. This is the basic of the basic. Okay, this is your standard infantry marine. Now that might be specialized a little bit depending on skill sets, but this is your standard marine. Now, as you can see, there were 3 teams exactly like this, all reporting to one senior squad leader. This is the basic makeup of the Marine Rifle Squad. Okay, now let's see what the Marines are doing to change that up. All right, and here is the new makeup of the Marine Rifle Squad. Now, you'll notice a few things right off the bat. First is the squad leader is no longer alone. Now his job hasn't really changed. His job is still to be that sergeant level individual who commands the entire squad, but now he is actually in charge of an entire team. Now, what you'll also notice is that the teams themselves have changed. There's now first off, they got rid of the they got rid of the assistant automatic rifleman, and I'll explain why here in a minute. And they also got rid of the standard rifleman. Now, but first let's talk about this command element team. Now, like I said, the squad leader stays about the same, but they've implemented a new assistant squad leader. Now, the assistant squad leader is going to be a corporal. It's going to be somebody who's an NCO, been in the Marines a while, been in the infantry a while, and their purpose is to help a squad leader deal with increasingly complex tasks and operations, which is really aimed at something that the commandant mentioned was going to be a necessity going forward. Actually, this goes all the way up to the Secretary of Defense, General Mattis, who stated that the job of the basic infantry, the regular forces, are going to start resembling that of special forces. Some of the tasks that we've expected of special forces over the last 17 years of warfare are going to start falling more and more onto regular infantry. We saw an example of this back in Syria, where roughly 400 Marines were deployed last year to back Syrian Democratic Forces fighting Islamic State militants, and there they provided artillery and fire support. That's typically a special forces job. In Afghanistan, we saw a detachment of 300 Marines who worked as advisors for the Afghan security forces. That's typically a special forces mission. Then, looking to Iraq, Marines and other small teams are deployed throughout the area in various mission sets all over the place, which would have typically fallen on special forces. So what the assistant squad leader, what that's really showing is that they expect the job of the Marine Rifle Squad to become much more complex, so much so that a single squad leader is going to be extraordinarily challenged to keep up with the complexity of the mission. So the assistant squad leader is going to be someone senior enough to advise and to help with some of the more mundane tasks of leadership, so that squad leader can take on and evolve into these more complex roles. All that to say is that the Marines are planning on making changes that acknowledge that warfare is going to become a lot harder for the next generation of the next generation of warfighter than has been in the past. Now, the old rifle squad was not inadequate, but they're taking a proactive step to acknowledging, yeah, stuff's about to get harder. So we're going to stay ahead of that. We're going to ask more of our Marines, and that's what this assistant squad leader symbolizes directly, is the acknowledgement that the Marine Rifle Squad is going to become much more important in the future towards much more special forces type missions. They need to be adaptable, and they need to have more leadership. Okay, the next seriously cool thing to talk about is this guy. This is going to be the systems operator, and his job is to be the tech guy for the infantry unit. Okay, so this systems operator, it's going to be a lance corporal, which means a guy who's been in for a minute. He's done all the training, but he's one of the low guys on the totem pole. However, what they're going to pull out is that the most tech-savvy member of these teams are going to become the systems operator for the squad level. And what that means is that any new technologies that come out, and it's going to be happening fast, they're going to start seeing all the new technologies that that are being implemented over the next couple of years, over the next decade or so. And these technologies are going to be coming at the Marines so fast that they're going to need a person whose job is to figure out how best to implement those technologies for the squad and advise the squad leader on how best to implement them. They're going to be issued a Marine tablet, as well as probably some other goodies to come in the future. But as new technologies become available, it's going to be one Marine's sole job to figure out how best to use those technologies and how to train the other Marines in how best to use them. As well as, and this is going to be pretty cool, the new squads are going to be issued things like a personal quadcopter. This is going to be a change that happens now. So some of those things that you've seen with special forces using quadcopters for reconnaissance, using new technologies for new missions, this guy's actually going to be doing. He's going to be using that tablet to communicate with other elements nearby, as well as using their technologies like that quadcopter to recon and direct the Marines in ways that we've never seen before. So immediately, this guy makes the Marines like 1,000 times more sci-fi, and actually bringing sci-fi to reality. Like this new role in the squad is going to be one of the most interesting changes to the Marines. But again, it shows that the Marines know changes are coming, but it's impossible to know what those changes will be. But they're already creating a system that will allow for new change. This person's job is to understand how technology will change the Marines and how to help his Marines evolve in the best way possible. So this isn't going to be a new job, by the way. This isn't going to be, they're not going to go to some special school to do this. It's just going to be the Marine in the platoon who's the most tech savvy, who gets stationed with, all right, you're that nerd and you're going to figure this out. But still, it's a very, very, very cool evolution. And I think that as far as lethality, this is going to dramatically increase how well Marines are able to adapt to a changing warfare in a way that our enemies will absolutely be devastated by. Okay, going back and looking at the individual fire teams, we noticed that some things changed. First of all, we noticed that they're down to 3 men rather than 4. Mostly what this comes down to is that they got rid of the assistant automatic rifleman. Now, why would they do that? That's because they've completely changed the way that the automatic rifleman's job is going to work, in that no longer are Marines all going to be using the M4, but they're now transitioning to a new weapon system called the M27. Now, the M27 is the infantry automatic rifle, and what it does is that it's going to be given to all of these Marines. Everyone is going to be using the M27. Okay, everyone is going to be an automatic rifleman. Now, the idea behind this was that by making everyone an automatic rifleman, you change up the squad to make it 300% more lethal in how much capability they all have now to fire. Now, there are some limitations with the M27 relative to the old M249. The SAW, the squad automatic weapon. It is a magazine-fed weapon, which meant that Marines burning through ammunition can run out of ammunition very easily, if they're not trained well, which the Marines will be trained well. But that's something that's made a few people nervous as far as switching the entire squad out to an automatic weapon. However, what this does is that it changes that relationship that I talked about earlier, to where everything hinged on this automatic rifle, or excuse me, this one automatic rifleman, and everyone moved around what he was directing fire towards, to now anyone can be the person creating that suppressive fire. Anyone can be that person creating suppressive fire, and anyone else can maneuver around them. This is a huge element in how Marines are going to be able to move, and how they're going to be able to take down an enemy that they've got suppressed already. So now everyone is an automatic rifleman, and there's no need for that assistant. That frees up 2 spots, which have now moved over to the command element, and has allowed for another evolution. Now, this is possibly the coolest evolution that I've seen, and this is the implementation of a grenadier in every fire team. Okay, so now every squad is going to be equipped with 3 different grenadiers. Now, that's exactly what it sounds like. These guys will be launching grenades like it's not even funny. Now, what a lot of civilians aren't aware of is that grenade technology is actually far more complex than just the pull the pin and throw the grenade types of weapons that you see. There's what's called the 40 millimeter grenade, which is it's packaged a lot more like a round in that it's meant to be fired from a weapon specifically made to fire grenades. Now, what that does is that, first of all, it allows for a lot more evolution in grenade technology. You can do a lot of things with these grenades that you can't do with your standard grenade that you would just carry on your person. Some things, just to make an example, is that you're able to create what are called loom rounds, which is a grenade that you fire straight up into the air, and it illuminates the battlefield for during the night, and it puts off an extraordinarily powerful light that you can see. Everyone can see what's going on around you. Now, this puts a huge advantage in people who are specialized in night fighting, but it's something that can't be done when you're fighting somebody. Like, if you're an insurgent, then you don't have these means. But this is something completely new and completely different that it's been around for a while. We've had grenades like this for quite a while, but we've never had a person designated to fire just as a grenadier. Now, what did used to happen was that we had the squad leader. He was equipped with a grenade launcher, the M203. And the M203 was an attached weapon that was attached to the Marine's rifle. And I'll show you an example of that with this new version that's coming out. Even when we're talking about traditional grenades, the grenade launcher allows you to fire about 10 times farther than you would be able to throw it. Now, anybody can see the advantage of this in that you're able to put an extraordinarily lethal weapon extremely far out into ranges that your enemy can't reach you. Able to disrupt enemy formations, able to take down entire positions in ways that are completely devastating to a force unprepared for it. Now, remember, that was the squad leader. The squad leader was the only person who had this weapon. Under the new system, we've got 3 different people who will have this means. And what that means for the actual squad, is that now you're going to have everyone in the unit capable of creating that suppressing fire, but you're also going to have one guy in every fire team, every 3-man team is going to be absolutely capable of raining down devastation on that suppressed group. Now think about some of the means that we had before. We could use one team that could suppress, but then everybody else was going to have to go around and flank them in some way. We had several means for that. If you were lucky, you would be close enough to the squad leader that while they were suppressed, he could fire a grenade at that suppressed position and take out the enemy. But now, within just this 3-man team, you've got that capability. You can have suppression, and then you can have somebody to lay down grenades. And if worse comes to worse, you've still got that fire team leader who can adjust fire and focus on other people. Now, this is an extremely adaptable model for really raining down devastation at the individual level. So I'm really excited about this new grenadier position. Yeah, and by the way, this is what they'll actually be equipped with. This is the M320 grenade launcher, and while I'm not gonna lie, if you've been trained to think about guns only in ways that movies and video games tell you, this is a really stupid looking weapon. However, when you look at what it adds to the individual unit, this is an extremely powerful capability to add. But I will say, I don't actually like the fact that it's a standalone weapon. Now, when we saw the images that the Marine Corps put out, they showed it as the Marines carrying 2 different weapons. I don't like that, because anybody who plays Call of Duty knows. Like, that's what Call of Duty would be like in real life, is carrying a bunch of weapons that you find. Anybody who has been that big guy in the team, me, knows that it sucks to be the one who has to carry around everything. And it also can be extremely burdensome and get in the way of how you fight. So what I'm wondering is if they're going to go with a way that we used to use the M203. Now, the M203 was attached to the weapons, and it looked a lot more like this. Okay, this is the M4 with the M320 attachment. Now you see what that is that you've got the M4, but you also have down here the M320 it's attached. Like an armor actually puts that on to where when you carry around one, you carry around both. It's got sighting to where you can fire both, and it allows them to just carry on one weapon. So what I'm wondering is if this is going to be much more normal for Marines carrying the M27 with an M320 attachment. I don't know, but I really hope that's the way it goes in the future, because it just seems like it would be much less of a hassle to the individual Marines who are already going to be loaded with tons of ammunition for the M27, and now this guy's also going to be carrying down a lot of grenades attached as well. So anyway, I hope we see something like this, partly just for cool factor, but also because it's going to suck to be that grenadier if he's got to lug around tons and tons of stuff that's flopping all over the place while he fights. Now, one thing also to add in is that every squad is going to be equipped with the Carl Gustav, the M3 Moz, known as the multi-role anti-armor, anti-tank weapon system, which is basically the big gun. It fires as you can see behind it, it fires a variety of different projectiles that can do. Creativity is your only limitation. Okay, it can blow stuff up really well. So every squad is going to have a Moz. Also with every squad, one of the Marines will be designated as the squad marksman. What they'll be equipped with is the M38, which is essentially an M27. It's the same weapon as everybody else gets, but equipped with a powered scope, suppressor, and a rangefinder, which I'm not sure if all of them have. Their weapon is going to be specialized to reach out and engage with the enemy at around 300 to 600 yards to make sure that they can still handle that. All these changes are really bringing the fight in a lot closer and trying to keep it within that 200 yards, to really specialize within 200 yards. However, they really want to ensure that somebody within the squad can handle and will be proficient at keeping the enemy at a distance where it's possible. So this Marine will be capable of engaging the enemy at 300 to 600 yards. But what's still interesting about it is that they're using essentially the same weapon as everybody else on the team. Now, there are some other changes from the standard Marine setup, including, like I said earlier, that tablet, which will be used by the systems operator. He'll also be in charge of a quadcopter, I believe. There's some other tech that they'll be carrying. All the changes considered, I'm really excited about this new setup for the Marines. You know, people from my era, people who trained with the 13-man squad, I think a lot of us will have disagreements about it, but from everything I'm seeing in a lot of the community, they're really excited about the changes that are happening. It seems that this wasn't a change that absolutely had to happen. It wasn't a change that was forced upon the Marines. It was one that they saw, you know, the times are changing and they're going to be changing more in the future. So we need to have a more adaptable system for implementing the Marines we have. This is something that utilizes Marines better. It frees up one Marine to serve somewhere else, as well as makes better use of the Marines that they already have. It's got a system for engaging with new technology that comes out in the future, not just the technology that exists today. It's got new means to help the squad adapt to more complex and more engaging mission sets. And I think that what General Neller communicated with this new system is that this is a great new evolution for the Marines, and that they will be faster, they will be more lethal, they will be more adaptable, and the Marine Corps will remain one of the world's premier fighting forces for at least another generation to come. But I want to open it up to you guys. Do you think that the new reforms happening with the Marine Corps Rifle Squad are going to ultimately be good for Marine combat efficiency? Or do you think that this is a huge waste of time and is going to make us a less capable force? I want to hear your opinion, so shout it down at the bottom.